The alarm bell screamed through every corridor of the human exploration ship Wanderer. Captain Kim Hyun rushed to the bridge, his boots echoing against the metal floors. The red emergency lights painted everything in an angry glow that made his crew look like ghosts. "What do we have, Lee Soo?" Hyun asked his communications officer. Lee Soo turned around in her chair, her face pale with worry. "Captain, we picked up a distress signal from Mining Station 7. It's in the Forbidden Sector." The bridge fell silent. Every crew member knew about the Forbidden Sector. It was the place where ships went to die. It was the home of Nara the Eye. "Scorched? How many people are on that station?" Hyun asked. 200 miners and their families, sir," replied Park Jin from the tactical station. His hands were already moving over his weapons controls. "But Captain, that's Nara's territory. No one goes there and comes back." Hyun stared at the star map on the main screen. The Forbidden Sector glowed red, marked with warnings in 12 different languages. For 300 years, that area of space had been marked as death itself. 300 years since Nara first appeared and began her reign of terror. Science Officer Yoon Hai spoke up from her station. "Captain, I'm reading the energy signatures from the distress signal. The mining station is under attack. Life support is failing on multiple levels." 200 people, Hyun said quietly. "Sir, with respect, those people are already dead," Park Jin said. "Nara doesn't leave survivors. She never has." Hyun had heard the stories. Every child in the galaxy knew about Nara the Scorched. She was living fire that moved through space like a nightmare. She was plasma and rage given form. When she appeared near a planet, entire populations would evacuate. When she came near a space station, the emergency protocols were simple: run or die. The Galactic Defense Force had tried to stop her once. They sent their best ships and their bravest soldiers. Nara had turned them all into burning metal and scattered atoms. After that, the galaxy simply learned to stay away from her. "Captain," Lee Soo said, "I'm getting more signals from the station. Some of the mining crews are still alive. They're trapped in the lower sections. 200 people, families with children, workers who had only wanted to make a living mining asteroids on the edge of known space. They probably never thought Nara would come to their quiet little station." "Set course for the Forbidden Sector," Hyun ordered. The bridge erupted in protests. Park Jin stood up from his station. "Captain, this is suicide. We can't fight her. No one can fight her." "Sir, please reconsider," Yoon Hai added. "The energy readings from Nara's last attack destroyed a battleship in seconds. Our shields won't even slow her down." Hyun looked at each of his crew members. They were good people, smart people. They had families too. He was asking them to fly into certain death, and they all knew it. "I'm not asking anyone to stay," Hyun said. "Anyone who wants to take a shuttle and head back to safe space can do it. I won't think less of you." No one moved. They were scared, but they were also his crew. They had been together for 5 years, exploring the edges of known space and making first contact with new species. They trusted him, even when he was making the worst decision of their lives. "Course set for Mining Station 7, announced Navigator Song Hana from her position. Her voice was steady, but Hyun could see her hands shaking. The Wanderer turned toward the Forbidden Sector. As they got closer, the sensors began picking up signs of destruction. Pieces of metal floated in space. Emergency beacons blinked their final messages into the void. The mining station appeared on their screens, and half of it was already gone. "There she is," whispered Lee Soo. Nara the Scorched moved through space like a living star. Her form shifted between something almost human and pure burning energy. She was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Plasma flowed around her like hair made of fire. When she moved, space itself seemed to bend around her heat. She was destroying the mining station piece by piece. Her energy blasts cut through metal like it was paper. But as Hyun watched her, he noticed something strange. "Yoon Hai, are you recording this?" he asked. "Yes, Captain, all sensors are active. Look at how she's moving, look at what she's destroying." The crew watched Nara tear apart another section of the station. But Hyun was right. There was a pattern to her destruction. She wasn't just randomly burning everything. She was targeting specific areas. She's destroying the mining equipment first, Park Jin said with surprise. The weapon systems, the communication arrays. But she's leaving the living quarters alone, added Yunhai. The sections where people would be hiding. This was not the random violence the galaxy expected from Nara the Scorched. This was precise. This was controlled. This was almost like she was trying to disable the station without killing everyone inside. Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures, Songhana reported. She's building up for another attack. Nara's form began to glow brighter. The plasma around her swirled faster. She was preparing to unleash another blast that would tear through the station's hull. Get us closer, Hyun ordered. Sir? Park Jin asked in disbelief. You heard me. Take us in. The Wanderer moved toward the burning station and the creature of fire that was destroying it. As they got closer, Nara's heat began to affect their systems. Warning lights flashed across every console. Captain, our shields are at 60%, Yunhai reported. If we get much closer, we'll start taking hull damage. Hyun studied Nara's movements on the main screen. There was something about the way she moved. It wasn't the chaotic violence of a monster. It was rhythmic. It was almost like dancing. She's not trying to kill them, Hyun said suddenly. She's trying to free them. What? Lee Su asked. Look at the mining equipment she's destroying. Look at what she's targeting. That's not random destruction. She's dismantling their operation. As if she heard his words, Nara suddenly stopped her attack. Her burning form turned toward the Wanderer. For a moment, that felt like forever. The terror of the void stared directly at their small human ship. Then she began to move toward them. Nara the Scorched moved toward the Wanderer like a burning comet. Her plasma form left trails of fire in the darkness of space. Captain Kim Hyun watched her approach on the main screen, his heart beating fast but his mind working faster. Captain, she's coming straight for us, Park Jin said, his finger hovering over the weapons controls. Should I fire? No, Hyun said firmly. Keep all weapons powered down. Sir, are you insane? Park Jin asked. She'll burn us alive. Lee Su turned from her communication station. Captain, I'm picking up massive heat signatures. Our hull temperature is rising just from her being near us. The bridge crew watched in terror as Nara got closer. She was only a few hundred meters away now. Her energy was so intense that the ship's lights began to flicker. Warning alarms sounded from every system. Shields. At 30%, Yunhai reported. Hull temperature rising to dangerous levels. But Hyun was not watching the warnings. He was watching Nara herself. As she moved through space, her form shifted and flowed like liquid fire. But there was something in her movement that caught his attention. Computer, replay the footage of Nara attacking the mining station, he ordered. Slow it down to quarter speed. The main screen split in two. On one side, they could see Nara approaching their ship. On the other side, the computer showed her earlier attack on the mining station, but much slower. What are you looking for, Captain? Songhana asked from her navigation station. Watch her movements, Hyun said. Look at how she destroys each section. The crew watched the slowed footage. Nara's plasma form moved in sweeping arcs as she tore apart the mining equipment. Her energy blasts followed specific patterns. Each attack flowed into the next like steps in a dance. She's not just destroying, Yunhai said with surprise. She's following a rhythm. Exactly, Hyun said. Computer, analyze the timing between each of her attacks. The computer worked for a few seconds, then displayed the results. The time between each of Nara's attacks was exactly the same. 3.7 seconds between each blast. Perfect timing like music. Captain, she stopped moving toward us, Lee Su reported. Hyun looked at the other half of the screen. Nara was floating just outside their shield range. Her burning form pulsed with energy, but she was not attacking. She seemed to be waiting for something. Why isn't she destroying us? Park Jin asked. Because she doesn't destroy everything, Hyun realized. Look at the mining station again. What did she leave untouched? The crew studied the footage more carefully. The mining station was mostly destroyed, but certain sections remained intact. The living quarters where families lived, the medical bay, The school where the miners' children learned. She only destroyed the mining equipment, Song Hana said. The machines that were taking resources from the asteroids. Not just any resources, Yun Hai added, checking her readings. Captain, I'm analyzing the materials the mining station was collecting. They were harvesting rare energy crystals from the asteroid field. What kind of energy crystals? Hyun asked. Yun Hai's face went pale. Sir, these readings show stellar core material. The miners were harvesting pieces of dead stars. The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. The asteroid field around the mining station was not just random space rocks. It was the remains of a solar system. The miners had been taking apart the pieces of dead worlds. Her world, Hyun whispered. This was her home system. He looked at Nara floating outside their ship. She was not a monster attacking random targets. She was someone trying to protect what was left of her home. The mining station had been destroying the final remains of her people's world piece by piece. Captain, I'm getting new readings from the mining station, Lee Su said. The survivors are still alive, but their life support won't last much longer. Hyun made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. Open a communication channel to Nara. Sir, she's a being made of plasma, Park Jin protested. She can't possibly understand human language. Maybe not words, Hyun said. But there are other ways to communicate. Lee Su opened the channel, though she looked like she thought her captain had lost his mind. Channel open, sir. Hyun stared at Nara's burning form on the screen. How do you talk to someone made of fire? How do you apologize for 300 years of fear and misunderstanding? Computer, access the cultural database. Find musical compositions with the same rhythm pattern as Nara's movements. The computer searched through thousands of songs from hundreds of worlds. After a moment, it found a match. Pattern matches human classical composition. Bach's Cello Suite No. 1. The timing intervals are identical. Play it, Hyun ordered. Broadcast it on all frequencies. Captain, what are you doing? Yoon. He asked. Something that should have been done 300 years ago, Hyun replied. The music began to flow from the Wanderer's communication arrays. Soft, beautiful notes drifted through space toward Nara. It was sad music, like someone mourning for something lost forever. But it was also hopeful, like someone remembering something beautiful that once existed. The effect on Nara was immediate. Her burning form stopped pulsing with angry energy. The plasma around her began to move differently, flowing in time with the music. For the first time in 3 centuries, Nara the Scorched was not destroying anything. She's responding, Lee Su said in amazement. Her energy signature is changing. The heat levels around our ship are dropping, Yun Hai added. She's pulling her energy back. Hyun watched as Nara began to move again, but this time her movements matched the rhythm of the music. She was dancing. In the cold darkness of space, surrounded by the wreckage of the mining station, a being of pure fire was dancing to human music. Captain, Song Hana said quietly, I think she's trying to tell us something. As the music continued, Nara's movements became more complex. She was not just dancing to the rhythm. She was adding her own steps, her own story to the melody. Through her dance, she was showing them something. She's showing us her pain, Hyun realized. All this time, everyone thought she was a monster, but she's been mourning. She's been grieving for her dead world. The music played on, and Nara continued her dance among the stars. For the first time since she had appeared in the galaxy, someone was not running from her. Someone was listening to what she had to say. And in that moment, everything changed. The music from the Wanderer continued to play across space. Nara's dance became more graceful with each passing moment. Her plasma form moved like liquid starlight, no longer the angry destroyer that had terrorized the galaxy for 3 centuries. Captain. Kim Hyun watched her movements on the main screen. Something deep inside him understood what she was trying to communicate. Through her dance, Nara was telling the story of her people, a race of beings who lived inside stars, dancing through solar winds and cosmic fire. Captain, Lee Su said, From her communication station, we're getting emergency transmissions from across the galaxy. Every major news network is reporting that Nara has stopped attacking. The Galactic Defense Force is scrambling ships to this sector. How long before they arrive? Hyun asked. 3 hours, maybe 4. Park Jin replied from tactical. But sir, when they get here, they'll try to destroy her while she's calm. This might be their only chance. Hyun felt a cold fear in his stomach. The military would see Nara's peaceful moment as an opportunity to end the threat once and for all. They would not understand what was really happening here. They would destroy her before anyone learned the truth about who she really was. We need to make contact, Hyun said. Real contact, before the fleet arrives. Captain, that's impossible, Yoon Hai protested from her science station. Her body temperature is over 10,000 degrees. Any ship that gets close to her will melt. Not the ship, Hyun said quietly. Me. The bridge fell completely silent. Every crew member stared at their captain like he had just announced he was going to jump into a black hole. Sir, you can't be serious, Song Hana said from navigation. Direct exposure to her energy field would kill you instantly. Maybe, Hyun said, but maybe not. Look at how she's moving now. She's controlling her energy, pulling it back. She stopped. Her attack when she heard our music. She's trying to communicate. Captain, please think about this, Lee Soo begged. We have families waiting for us back home. You have a daughter who needs her father. Hyun thought about his little girl Mina back on Earth. She was only 8 years old. She would ask her mother why Daddy never came home from his mission. But he also thought about the 200 people still trapped in the mining station, and about Nara dancing alone in the darkness for 300 years. Prepare a small shuttle, he ordered. Minimum life support, maximum maneuverability. Sir, I can't let you do this, Park Jin said, standing up from his station. As your tactical officer, I'm officially recommending that we retreat to safe distance and wait for the fleet. Your recommendation is noted, Hyun replied. But those people in the mining station will be dead before the fleet arrives, and so will any chance of understanding what Nara really is. Yoon Hai ran her hands through her hair. Captain, even if by some miracle you survive getting close to her, how do you plan to communicate? She's made of plasma. She doesn't have vocal cords or hands to make signals. She's been communicating this whole time, Hyun said. Through movement. Through dance, I just need to learn her language. 20 minutes later, Hyun sat in the pilot seat of Shuttle Bay 2's smallest craft. The shuttle was barely big enough for one person, with just enough fuel for a short trip and basic life support for 1 hour. Through the shuttle's small window, he could see Nara still dancing to the music from the Wanderer. Captain, this is Lee Soo. Final systems check complete. Are you absolutely sure about this? No, Hyun said honestly, but I'm doing it anyway. The shuttle bay doors opened and Hyun piloted his tiny craft into space. As he got closer to Nara, his instruments began to go crazy. The temperature readings climbed higher and higher. Warning lights flashed across every control panel. Wanderer, this is Hyun. I'm at 500 meters and closing. Captain, your hull temperature is already past safe limits, came Yoon Hai's worried voice. Please turn back. But Hyun kept flying toward the dancing figure of fire. At 300 meters, his navigation computer shut down from the heat. At 200 meters, his communication system started cutting in and out. At 100 meters, Nara stopped dancing and turned to face him. For a moment, Hyun thought he was about to die. Nara's plasma form grew brighter, and he could feel the shuttle's hull beginning to buckle from the incredible heat. But then something amazing happened. Instead of destroying him, Nara began to move in a different pattern. Her energy field pulsed, in rhythm with the music still playing from the Wanderer. She was showing him how to move, teaching him her dance. Hyun had never been a good dancer. His wife always laughed at him when they went to parties because he had 2 left feet. But somehow inside his tiny shuttle, he began to copy Nara's movements. He pushed the control stick gently left, then right, then up in a slow spiral. His shuttle began to dance through space. Captain, what are you doing? Came Park Jin's panicked voice through the static. Learning, Hyun replied. As his shuttle moved in time with Nara's dance, something incredible happened. The temperature around his craft began to drop. Nara was somehow controlling her energy, creating a pocket of cooler space around him. She was protecting him while they danced together. The music from the Wanderer reached a beautiful, sad melody. Nara's movements became even more graceful, and Hyun tried his best to match her. His shuttle spun and turned through space following the ancient dance of her people. Through the dance, Hyun began to understand more of her story. Her people had been guardians of star systems, keeping dead worlds warm with their energy. They had danced through space for millions of years, bringing life to cold planets and light to dark places. But something had gone wrong. A cosmic disaster had destroyed most of her people, scattering them across the galaxy. Nara had been alone for so long that she had forgotten how to do anything but burn with grief and rage. The music began to slow, and both dancer and shuttle moved more gently. Hyun could see that Nara's plasma form was changing. The angry red fire was becoming softer, more golden. For the first time in centuries, she was remembering what it felt like to create instead of destroy. "Captain," came Songhana's voice through the static. "The Galactic Defense Fleet just entered the system. You have maybe 30 minutes before they arrive." Hyun looked at Nara's beautiful dancing form. 30 minutes to save her from 300 years of loneliness. 30 minutes to show the galaxy that their greatest fear was actually their greatest loss. "Then we better make this count," he said, and continued dancing with the fire. News of the impossible spread across the galaxy faster than light-speed messages. On every world, in every space station, beings stopped what they were doing to watch the live feeds. A human was dancing with Nara the Scorched, and somehow still alive. Admiral Choi Won stood on the bridge of the battleship Thunder, leading a fleet of 50 warships toward the Forbidden Sector. He had been hunting Nara for 20 years, ever since she had destroyed his home station and killed his family. Now he finally had his chance for revenge. "Admiral, we'll be in weapons range in 15 minutes, reported his tactical officer. "Good," Choi Won said. "All ships prepare maximum firepower. We end this monster today." But back at the dancing ground, something beautiful was happening. Captain Kim Hyun's small shuttle moved through space in perfect harmony with Nara's plasma form. They had been dancing together for almost an hour now, and with each movement, they understood each other better. Hyun's shuttle systems had failed one by one. First the navigation computer, then the communication array, then the life support backup systems. But somehow he was still alive. Nara had wrapped him in a cocoon of controlled energy that kept him safe from the cold vacuum of space. "This is impossible," he whispered to himself as he watched her energy flow around his shuttle like protective arms. Through their shared dance, Nara had been showing him memories. He saw her people as they once were, beings of living starlight who traveled between worlds. They were not destroyers but creators, using their energy to warm dead planets and help new life grow. He saw the great disaster that had killed most of her kind. A massive black hole had wandered into their territory, pulling apart the stars they called home. Most of her people had died trying to save the planets under their protection. Nara had survived, but she was alone. For 300 years, she had drifted through space, carrying the grief of her entire species. Every time she saw mining operations taking apart dead worlds, she remembered her lost home. Her attacks were not random violence, but desperate attempts to protect what little remained of destroyed solar systems. Now, as they danced together, Hyun began to share his own memories. He thought about Earth, about his daughter Mina learning to walk in their small garden. He thought about humanity's first steps into space, full of wonder and hope. He thought about all the species humans had met and befriended among the stars. Nara's energy pulsed with curiosity as she felt his memories. She had never encountered a species like humans before. Most intelligent beings fled from her or tried to destroy her. But this human had chosen to understand her instead. "Captain Hyun, can you hear me?" came a crackling voice through his damaged radio. "Lee Soo, is that you?" Hyun replied. "Sir, the defense fleet is almost here. Admiral Choi Won is commanding them personally. He's given orders to destroy Nara on sight. Hyun felt a chill that had nothing to do with space. Admiral Choi Won was famous throughout the galaxy for his hatred of Nara. His family had been killed in one of her attacks years ago. He would not listen to reason or mercy. "How long do we have?" Hyun asked. "Maybe 10 minutes, came Park Jin's voice. "Captain, you need to get out of there. When those battleships start firing, nothing will survive." But Hyun looked at Nara's graceful form dancing beside him. Her energy had changed from angry red to warm gold. For the first time in centuries, she was at peace. He could not abandon her now. "Nara," he said out loud, knowing she could not understand his words but hoping she might feel his meaning. "They're coming to hurt you. We need to show them who you really are." As if she understood, Nara's movements changed. She began to dance toward the damaged mining station where 200 people were still trapped. But instead of destroying what remained of the station, she began to repair it. Her plasma energy flowed into the broken hull, welding metal and restoring power systems. She used her incredible heat to restart the station's life support, giving the trapped miners clean air and warmth. In minutes, she had transformed from destroyer to savior. "Are you seeing this?" Yoonhai's voice came through the static. "She's fixing the station. She's saving the people inside." The miners who had cowered in fear for hours now watched in amazement as their station came back to life around them. Emergency lights turned green. Air recyclers hummed to life. The children who had been crying in the dark now had light and warmth. But their moment of hope was shattered by new voices on the communication channels. "This is Admiral Choi Won of the Galactic Defense Force. All civilian ships evacuate immediately. We are preparing to eliminate the hostile entity." "Admiral, this is Captain Kim Hyun of the exploration vessel Wanderer. The entity is not hostile. She's helping people. She's fixing the mining station." "Captain Hyun, you are clearly under some form of alien influence," Choi Won replied coldly. "That monster killed my family. She has killed thousands of innocent beings. I will not be fooled by whatever trick this is." Hyun watched as 50 warships dropped out of hyperspace and formed attack formations. Their weapons began to charge, creating a deadly light show in the darkness. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "All ships, target the plasma entity," came Choi Won's command. "Fire on my mark." Nara sensed the danger. Her peaceful golden energy began to shift back toward angry red, after finally finding someone who understood her, after finally remembering what it felt like to help instead of hurt. She was about to be attacked again. "No," Hyun said firmly. He pushed his shuttle between Nara and the fleet of warships. His tiny craft was like a small bug compared to the massive battleships, but he refused to move. "Captain, get out of the way," Admiral Choi Won ordered. "You are protecting a killer." "I'm protecting someone who has been alone for 300 years, Hyun replied. "Someone who just saved 200 lives. Someone who has been trying to tell us her story, but we were too afraid to listen." The music from the Wanderer was still playing, and Nara continued to dance despite the weapons pointed at her. But now her movements were different. She was dancing not just her own story, but the story of her meeting with humanity. The story of the first being in 3 centuries who had chosen understanding over fear. "Admiral," Hyun said urgently, "give me 5 minutes. Let me show you what she really is." There was a long pause. Then Choi Won's voice came back, hard as steel. "You have 3 minutes, Captain. Then I fire anyway. 3 minutes to save a being who had been alone for 3 centuries. Captain Kim Hyun's mind raced as he floated between Nara and the 50 warships that wanted to destroy her. His tiny shuttle was no match for their weapons, but he had something more powerful than firepower. He had the truth. "Admiral Choi Won," Hyun said into his radio, "I'm going to show you something that will change everything you think you know about Nara." "You have 2 minutes and 40 seconds, came the cold reply. Hyun turned to look at Nara's glowing form beside him. She was still dancing, her energy now a beautiful mix of gold and blue. But he could sense her fear. She had been attacked so many times before. She expected this moment of peace to end in violence just like all the others. Nara, he said gently. Show them who your people really were. Show them your true dance. As if she understood his words, Nara's movements began to change. The dance became something larger, something that filled the entire space around the mining station. Her energy reached out in all directions, not to destroy but to create. Where her plasma touched the scattered debris from the station, metal began to reform. Broken pieces welded themselves back together. Dead systems came to life. But more than that, something beautiful began to happen. The repaired metal started to glow with soft, warm light. "What is she doing?" asked one of the battleship captains over the radio. "She's turning the wreckage into art," Yun Hai's voice came from the Wanderer. "The metal pieces are forming patterns, like a sculpture made of starlight." Nara danced among the floating metal, and everywhere she touched, beauty followed. The broken mining equipment became flowing shapes that looked like flowers made of silver and gold. The destroyed station sections reformed into graceful arcs that caught and reflected her light. But the most amazing thing happened when her energy reached the asteroid field itself. The dead rocks that had once been her home world began to glow, not with the harsh light of mining lasers, but with the gentle warmth of a living star. "She's not destroying the asteroids," reported the tactical officer on Admiral Choi Wan's ship. "She's bringing them back to life. For the first time in 300 years, the remains of Nara's world were warm again. The asteroid field became a garden of light in the darkness of space. Each rock glowed like a small sun, creating a beautiful constellation that stretched for thousands of kilometers. "Admiral," came a new voice over the radio. It was Commander Beck Min from the mining station. "This is Mining Station 7, the entity Nara. She saved us all. Our life support was failing, our hull was breached, and we were going to die. She fixed everything. She gave us back our lives." "That's impossible," Admiral Choi Wan said, but his voice had lost some of its hardness. "Sir, I have 200 witnesses," Commander Beck Min continued, "including 40 children who are alive right now because of her. She could have killed us all in seconds, but instead she chose to save us." Hyun watched as more voices joined the conversation. The miners began telling their stories. How they had cowered in fear as Nara approached their station. How they had expected to die. How instead she had carefully disabled only the equipment that was harming her world, while protecting the people inside. "She wasn't attacking randomly," said Chief Engineer Park Hana from the station. "She was trying to stop us from destroying what was left of her home. We were mining the last pieces of her people's world without even knowing it." As the stories poured in, Admiral Choi Wan's fleet began to lower their weapons. One by one, the battleships powered down their firing systems. The truth was becoming impossible to ignore, but Nara was not finished with her demonstration. Her dance carried her toward Admiral Choi Wan's flagship, the Thunder. The crew watched in terror as the being who had killed the Admiral's family approached. "Their ship. All weapons target the entity," Choi Wan ordered, but his voice shook. Instead of attacking, Nara began to dance around the Thunder. Her energy flowed over the ship's hull, but instead of melting it, she was showing the crew something. Images began to appear in her plasma form. Pictures made of light and fire. The images showed the attack on Admiral Choi Wan's home station 20 years ago. But now, for the first time, they could see what really happened. Nara had not attacked the station. She had been trying to save it. A group of space pirates had been using the station as a base for their attacks on merchant ships. When Nara arrived, she found the pirates preparing to kill all the innocent families living on the station. She had tried to stop them, but her plasma form was too powerful. In her desperation to save the innocent people, she had accidentally caused the explosion that destroyed the station. "No," Admiral Choi Wan whispered as he watched the images. "That's not what happened. She killed them. She killed my wife and daughter." But the images continued, showing Nara's grief after the accident. For days she had remained near the wreckage, her energy dim with sorrow. She had tried to save people, but her power was too great to control precisely. The guilt had driven her to withdraw from all contact with other species. "She's been carrying the guilt for 20 years, Hyun said softly. "She never meant to hurt anyone. She was trying to help." Admiral Choi Wan stared at the images in Nara's plasma form. Everything he had believed for 20 years, was wrong. The monster he had hunted across the galaxy was actually someone who had been trying to save his family. "Stand down," he ordered his fleet, his voice breaking. "All ships, stand down." The weapons powered down completely. For the first time in 3 centuries, Nara faced a military fleet that was not trying to destroy her. Her dance began to change, again becoming something new. She moved between the ships of the fleet, her energy creating bridges of light that connected each vessel to the others. The cold darkness of space became warm and bright. "She's trying to show us something else," Yunhei said from the Wanderer. "Captain, I think she wants to help us." And she did. Over the following days, Nara began to use her incredible power in ways that amazed the galaxy. She helped restart the engines of ships that had broken down in deep space. She provided warmth and light to colonies on cold worlds. She even helped scientists study the birth of new stars by safely carrying their research equipment into places no normal ship could go. The being that everyone had feared became the galaxy's greatest protector. She worked with human engineers to develop new technologies. She helped terraform dead worlds by bringing them the warmth they needed for life to grow. But the most important change happened in how different species saw each other. If someone, as feared as Nara, could be misunderstood for so long, how many other species had been judged wrongly? The galaxy began to look at its neighbors with new eyes, seeking understanding instead of assuming the worst. Captain Kim Hyun returned to Earth a hero, but he always said that the real hero was the human ability to see beyond fear. At the ceremony, honoring him, he stood with Nara beside him, her plasma form now a gentle, warm light that children from dozens of worlds came to see. "We learned something important," Hyun told the gathered crowd. "Sometimes the most powerful force in the universe is not weapons or technology. Sometimes it's the courage to dance with someone in their fire until they remember how to be warm, instead of just burning." Nara's energy pulsed in what everyone had learned was her way of agreeing. She had found her place in the galaxy at last, not as a destroyer, but as a guardian. And it had all started with one human who chose to understand, instead of fear, to dance instead of fight. The galaxy was a warmer place because of it,